June 20, variant 2. Let's see the paper 4 questions. Homeostasis is the maintenance of a constant internal environment. Human skin is involved in the maintenance of constant internal body temperature. Skin is an organ. Why is it an organ? Why do I consider the skin as an organ? When he asks me why is this an organ, why is this a tissue, I tell him the definition of the organ because it's a group of tissues working together to perform specific functions. Okay. State the name of the organ that coordinates the control of body temperature. What's the meaning of coordinates? Coordinates means it receives impulses from one side, sends impulses to the other side, detects the change. What is the organ that coordinates the body? The organ is the hypothalamus in the brain. ماشي لو قلت brain برضو is also correct. It coordinates the impulses. It receives the impulses from one part and sends it to the other part. Okay. Figure shows the diagram of a section through a human. Okay. Figure 1.1 shows a diagram of a section through the human skin. State the names of the structures A, B, and C. A, it starts at the beginning near to the skin. This is the receptors. B, which is the coiled structure that opens on the surface. Coiled structure, this is the sweat gland and this is the sweat pore. C is the fat tissue under the skin. Labels, easy labels. Okay. Structure D is a shunt vessel. Structure E is an arteriole. Describe how these blood vessels are involved in maintaining constant internal body temperature in a cold environment. If it is cold, how does the arteriole and the shunt vessel respond? In the cold weather, the arteriole will constrict, okay? So less blood flows in the capillaries near the skin, therefore less heat loss by radiation. Also, the shunt vessel will dilate. The shunt vessel is always opposite to the arteriole. So if the arteriole constricts, the shunt vessel will dilate so that the blood flows from the shunt vessel away from the skin to reduce heat loss by radiation. Energy is used to maintain body temperature. 3 other uses of energy. Anything we can write: active transport, protein synthesis, muscle contraction, transmission of nerve impulses, anything that needs energy. Okay, other than maintaining the body temperature, growth, anything. Question 2. Pregnancy can occur after the fusion of the male gamete and the female gamete. State the name of the ball of cells that implants into the uterus. When the sperm and the ovum fuse together, they first form a zygote. The zygote then divides, forming a ball of cells, which is the embryo. There are many changes that occurs in the fetus during pregnancy. Compare the development of the fetus in the early stages of pregnancy to its development in the late stages of pregnancy. Throughout the pregnancy, growth and development occurs. As the baby is inside the uterus, growth and development occurs. But in the early stage, the first 3 months, the development is more. There is more increase in complexity, which means that all the organs of the baby is formed during the first 3 months. While the rest of the pregnancy, the late stage, there is more increase in size. After the first 3 months, all the baby is formed, but then it increases in size until it is born. Okay. Describe the function of the amniotic fluid and the amniotic sac. We said that the sac produces the fluid and it prevents the entry of pathogens to the baby. The fluid, what does it do? What does the fluid do? It allows the movement of the baby. It maintains temperature. It provides a sterile environment, okay? Protects for mechanical injury. All of this is correct. We need 4 points. The umbilical artery is found in the umbilical cord. This artery transports the blood away from the heart to the fetus. The umbilical artery, away from the heart of the fetus, sorry. The artery is unusual because it transports deoxygenated blood. What is the other artery that transports deoxygenated artery? Yes, it is the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. These are the two exceptions for the artery. One excretory product that is transported from the fetus to the placenta, to the mother. I can say carbon dioxide, I can say urea, any waste product that comes out of the baby to the mother. State the name of the process that allows the substance to move down the concentration gradient, down the gradient across the placenta. Down the concentration gradient, it is, of course, diffusion. Movement of substances down the gradient, it is diffusion. Okay. One of the functions is to provide a barrier to the toxins and the pathogens. This is one of the functions of the placenta. A study was done on the afterbirths. The afterbirth is the placenta with the umbilical cord. Yani, after the baby is born, they cut the umbilical cord and then the placenta comes out of the uterus. This is the afterbirth. He did a study. What is the study? He wants to find the maximum size of particles that can pass through the placenta. What is the maximum size of particle that can pass through the placenta and enter the umbilical cord? These researchers inserted beads with a diameter of 0.5 micrometers into the blood vessels in the placenta. Beads, its size was 0.5 micrometers. 3 hours later, they recorded the percentage of beads found in the blood, in the placenta, and the umbilical cord. They injected the beads in the placenta and then they will measure how much of these beads passed into the umbilical cord. They repeated the test using beads of different size, 0.8, 2.45, and these are the results. When you put the beads, this amount, 70% in the blood after 3 hours, in the placenta, in the umbilical cord, this means that 0.5 can pass to the umbilical cord. No, it's passed though. 0.8 can pass into the umbilical cord because it's available in the umbilical cord. 2.4 can pass. 5 micrometer can pass but not very much. But what about 8 micrometers? لا, it cannot pass. خلاص, it's too big. When you injected the beads 8 micrometers, it cannot be found in the umbilical cord. This means that it's too big to pass. طيب. Let's see the results for the investigation. Convert the diameter of 5 micrometers into millimeters. This is an easy question. To convert to millimeters, we multiply by, to convert millimeter to micrometer, we multiply by 1000. If I want to convert from the smaller unit to the larger unit, I will divide by 1000. Divide by 1000, so it will be 0.005. 0.005 millimeter. 1 million beads, this was a math question. 1 million beads with the diameter of 2.4 micrometers were in 1 million beads with a diameter of 2.4 were injected into the placenta. Calculate the number of these beads in the umbilical cord. How did I calculate it? Check the percentage. Which size? He said 1 million of the size 2.4. Type. For the size 2.4, what is the percentage available in the placenta? You will read the percentage from here. Each box, the value of each box is 2. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. It is in the middle, so this is 13%. 13% was found in the umbilical cord. يبقى if I injected 1 million beads, I will multiply 1 million times 13% on the calculator. It will give me this number. The table shows the range of substances and their diameter. He gave you a thinking question. You should think about it. This is different substances and their sizes. 2 times 10 to the power negative 2. So this is 0.02 micrometer. This is its size. 0.03 micrometer. 0.05 micrometer. 0.8 micrometer. Okay? State the names of all the toxins and the pathogens that could pass. How am I going to know? How am I going to know which substance will pass? Manta, you have the graph. Until 5 micrometers, it can pass. So any size smaller than this, it will be able to pass through the placenta and the umbilical cord. These are the names that I will write. So what about the last one? The last one is 1.8 times 10, so it's 18 micrometer. And أصلا we said that the 8 micrometer did not pass, so of course the 18 will not pass. Okay, figure 2.2 shows the junction between two neurons with drug X absent and two neurons with drug X present. Drug X absent, drug X present. What can I see? Immediately after a painful stimulus. يعني if this person, something painful happened to him, what happens when the drug is not there? Neurotransmitters will be released. It will bind to the receptors, so he will feel the pain. طب if drug X is present, what happened? What happened in the picture? The drug binds to the receptors and the neurotransmitter does not bind. There's no place for it. The question was, state the names of A, B, and C, and D. What is A? Given that he told you that this is the relay neuron, which is the neuron that transmits the impulse to the relay neuron, which is the neuron before the relay. Impulse comes from the sensory neuron to the relay neuron, then to the motor neuron. So the nerve before the relay is the sensory neuron. Okay. What is B? This is the vesicles containing the neurotransmitter. What is C? This is the synapse, the gap between two neurons. And D is the receptor. Okay. The question was, describe and explain how drug X affects the function of the relay. Describe and explain what will happen here. What does this picture represent? What will happen here is that the drug is similar in shape to the neurotransmitter. So it binds to the receptor, it blocks the receptor, the neurotransmitter will not be able to bind, so less pain is felt. Less pain is felt. Okay, this is the drugs, like the painkillers, like Panadol, for example. Yani, this is an idea about how it works. Drug X can be injected into the body. This is one way that HIV can be transmitted. Two other ways. HIV can be transmitted through blood transfusion or through sharing needles, okay, أو from mother to baby, okay, sexual fluids. Needles, sharing needles or injection, this is already written. So I can say blood transfusion, sexual fluids, okay, sexual intercourse, or from mother to baby.
هو ينفع
Question 3, inheritance question. Cheetahs, and he gave you the binomial name, are carnivores found in the dry grassland and the woodland. Cheetahs hunt for food during the day. They eat deer and antelopes. The cheetah is the fastest mammal. It can only run at high speed over short distance. Its hunting strategy is to creep on the prey and then sprint to catch them. He gave you their features and asked you why does this feature help them to adapt. The first feature was the fur coloring. You- um, Here, the fur coloring is used as camouflage so that it is not seen by their prey. But what about the streamlined body? What's a streamlined body? Streamlined body means that it is narrow from the front part, narrow from uh, the part at the back, okay, and it's wide in the middle, just like an airplane. This streamlined shape helps the airplane to fly faster, to move faster, because it reduces resistance. The same goes for the cheetah. It helps the cheetah to run faster. The king cheetah is a rare variety of an Aegobatus that has inherited striped fur markings. This is the normal cheetah. This is the rare cheetah with striped fur markings. Okay? It shows a cheetah with spots and a king cheetah. The one with stripes is called a king cheetah. Okay, this is rare. Define the term inheritance. It is a transmission of genetic information from generation to generation. Just a definition. Okay, and then he asked you, the figure shows the pedigree of the population. All the whites are normal cheetahs with spots. The gray is a king cheetah. From this pedigree, do you think the inheritance of the king allele is dominant or recessive? Definitely, it is recessive because as I can see here, the parents are normal spots, but they gave birth to sorry, not here. Here, it's not their son here. As I can see here, the parents are normal, but they gave birth to a king cheetah. What does this mean? This means that the parents are carriers for the recessive allele. It was not showing on them, but this baby took the recessive allele from 3, recessive allele from 4, and it turned out to be a king cheetah. Deduce the genotype of cheetah 11. It's a king cheetah. So if I'm going to write the genotype, you can choose any letters. Any letters. He did not give you the letters, so you can choose any letters. Here, I will choose G. Let's say I will choose the letter G. But if it is a king cheetah and the king allele is recessive, then I will write it as G small, or T small, whatever the letters. It just has to be small letters. Predict the probability of 14 being a king cheetah. We just said that since 11 is a king cheetah, this means that 3 and 4 are heterozygotes. If I want to predict the probability, I'll just do the crossing. T capital T small, T capital T small. The crossing will be capital, capital small, small. What's the probability that it is a king cheetah? 25%. Describe how the breeder could determine the genotype of cheetah 17. How can I determine the genotype of cheetah 17? I can see that cheetah 17 is a normal cheetah with spots. Type. If it is with spots, so I have two options. Either it is T capital, or it is T capital T small. T capital, or it is T capital T small. So how do I know if it's this or that? How do I know? I will perform a test cross. Test cross means that you will cross 17 with a homozygous recessive cheetah, a king cheetah, the one with stripes. And then you will check the babies. If all the babies have spots, This means that 17 was T capital because these babies inherits one capital from here, one small from here, and they are normal cheetahs. If one of the baby is a king cheetah, yani with stripes, this means that it inherits one small t from here, one small t from here. So 17 has to be heterozygous. How am I going to write it? Perform a test cross breeding with homozygous recessive. If any of the offspring are king cheetah, then 17 is heterozygous. If not, then 17 is homozygous dominant. The, when the king cheetah was first discovered, it was thought that it's a new species. Pedigree of the cheetah proved that it was not a new species. Suggest one type of evidence other than the pedigree that can be used to determine how closely related organisms are. We use DNA. We use DNA to compare the nitrogen-based sequences. If the nitrogen-based sequence is exactly the same, then they are the same species. If not, then they are different species. يبقى how do we know if they're the same species or not? We compare the nitrogen-based sequence. Okay, cheetahs are at risk of becoming endangered. Why they are at risk of becoming? The reasons that decrease the population might be climate change, hunting, pollution, introduced species, a species that was not there and now it's introduced, so it's eating or affecting the cheetah some way. Hunting, disease, lack of food, loss of habitat, all of this is correct. How the species can be conserved, that's a repeated question. How do we do the conservation? We monitor the number of the animal. We protect in areas, create protected areas so people do not hunt them. We do the captive breeding where we collect the animals, allow them to breed. When they increase in number, we release them back to the wild. Education and raising awareness of the people. Question 4. Some crop farmers use herbicides on their field. This is a farmer spraying the rice crop with herbicides. Herbicides kill weeds. Why the farmers use herbicides? Why the farmers use herbicides? Herbicides kill the weeds that compete with the crop plants. So it allows increase in your yield. يبقى herbicides kills the weeds, so it reduces competition to increase the crop yield. Okay. Fields of crop plants were sprayed with 2 herbicides. He did an experiment. The fields were sprayed with 2 herbicides. He measured the concentration of the 2 herbicides in the lake near the field after spraying it. The water in the lake was sampled at intervals for 2 weeks. This is herbicide A. This is herbicide B. Okay. Compare the concentration in the lake. How do I compare? Just observation. Both of them increase with time. Both of them increase with time. Okay, that's the first point. B reaches 0 concentration before A. A is higher than B throughout the experiment. Okay? You can also use numbers from your graph. How do I use numbers? For example, I will say that at 4 days, concentration of B was something. I will read here from the graph. Just divide the difference to know the value of each box. While at day 6, it was this number. Of course, use the unit when you use the number in order to get the mark. Okay, Suggest how the herbicides damage the ecosystem in the lake. What would it do? It will probably kill the plants in the lake. So you kill the producer, which causes disruption of the food chain. Okay, less oxygen because the plants will not photosynthesize. Anything, يعني suggest. It kills the water plants, death of producers, less biodiversity, disruption of the food chains. Two features of the dicot plants. This is from chapter 2, dicot plants. How does it differ from the leaves of the monocot plants? The dicot plants has broad leaves with the branching network of veins. Broad leaves, branched veins. What is the name of the hormone that stimulates cell elongation? Auxins. The auxins are the plant hormones that stimulate elongation. Herbicide B is a chemical that prevents the uptake of magnesium. How would it kill the plant? Here he said that this chemical prevents the uptake of magnesium. So if there is no magnesium, there will be no chlorophyll. It cannot trap the sunlight. It cannot make photosynthesis. So the plant will die. The plant will die. Okay. Question 5 is an important question. The Galapagos Islands are a group of small islands in the Pacific Ocean. In 1839, Charles Darwin published a book that described differences in a family of birds called finches. Each bird, each species had a different beak, okay, and a different diet. Okay, state the name of the genus. As we said, the binomial name is always written in italics. So I will not say Galapagos finch. No, this is not the binomial name. It's not italics. The binomial name is here. The first name is the name of the genus. Second name is the name of the species. So if he wants the species, we will choose Geospiza. Okay. The question is, Galapagos finches share a common ancestor. Suggest how the Galapagos finches have evolved different shapes of beaks. Before they were one shape, they had one shape of beak, but then it evolved into different shapes. ازاي حصل كده؟ ازاي حصل كده؟ اقول له ايه؟ لسه قايلها امبارح. هيا نانسي. In any question that asks you that the organism looked like something and then it changed to another thing over time, how does this happen? This always happen by natural selection, where mutation occurred that caused variation in the shapes of the beak. The birds with the most suitable beak will survive. It will be the suitable beak in this area. The one with the most suitable beak in this area will survive and reproduce, pass the allele to the offspring, continues over many generations. This is always the answer for changing in the features. Okay. The last question here was an easy question. Complete the table. What provides support to the stem? What provides support? The xylem. Xylem transports and supports. It transports water and supports the plant because it has the lignin. So here we will write xylem and L. Xylem is the inner part of the vascular bundle. Okay. What protects the flower while it is a bud? The sepals, which are the small green leaves. So we will write sepals and G. Sepals and G. Produces glucose. Of course, this is the leaves. Produces glucose by photosynthesis. It is the leaf and H. Produces pollen. Leaf H. Produces pollen. This is the anther. Pollen grains are produced in the anther. B. Anther. and it is B. Delivers male nuclei to the site of fertilization. The male nucleus goes down the stigma and the style through this tube, which is called the pollen tube. D, pollen tube. D, pollen tube. Pollen tube. Okay. State one letter that identifies the structure that contains a haploid nucleus. What contains a haploid nucleus? The pollen grain is not showing on this image, so it will be the ovule inside the ovary. It's letter F. I can say B, which is in the anther, okay? Or D, also correct, because as we said that the male nucleus goes down the pollen tube, so it was also considered correct. All of these are haploid. State the name of the process that describes the transport of sucrose. The movement of the water inside the xylem is the transpiration and transpiration pull. So what about movement of sucrose in the phloem? It is called translocation. One letter that is a structure that is an example of a source of sucrose. Source, usually the leaf, which is H, because it's the site of synthesis of glucose, production of glucose. In addition to sucrose, amino acids are also transported. What is the name of the mineral ion that becomes part of amino acid? Mineral ion becomes part of amino acid. It is the nitrate ions. We need nitrates to take nitrogen and form the amino acids. So what is the structure in which the amino acids are made into proteins? Where does protein synthesis occur? In the ribosomes. What is the name of the group of molecules that are made of proteins, act as a biological catalyst? This is the enzymes. And the exam is done.